of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, before the Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published on January 11th, 2024 and posted on the district website at www.flboe.com, published in the board's designated online media outlet, newspaper, the Record and the Star Ledger, filed with the clerk of the Borough of Fort Lee, and mailed to all persons, if any, who have requested said notice. Please be advised this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcasted on local TV and online at a future date. The Open Public Meeting Act allows for remote participation at board meetings and defines meeting as a gathering, whether corporeal or by means of communication equipment, which is attended by or open to all members of the public body, held with the intent on the part of the members of the body present to discuss or act as a unit upon the specific public business of that body. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Byers-Kang.
Here.
Ms. Colback.
Here.
Ms. Curry is absent. Mr. Knight.
Here.
Mrs. Kotang.
Here.
Mr. Lopez is absent. Ms. Morel.
Here.
Mr. Rubino.
Here.
Mrs. Richter.
Here. The board convened executive session at 6:30 p.m. to discuss legal, personnel, and other confidential matters. Dr. Kravitz, will you begin by sharing the superintendent's report?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming out this evening to the Board of Education meeting. As we all know, the end of school has arrived, and we're very happy that this is our chance to rebuild and start and prepare for the upcoming school year. We still have some openings. I'm very proud to say that this morning I was informed that our music department has someone who will be leading the band next year. They agreed to so we just wait for the next board meeting to approve them, but as of today, we were told the person accepted the position. There are 9 cases of HIV, of which 3 were founded, and we have 1 administrative change, which is 11P. Please note the compensation should be $55, not $40 in 11P for game workers. Other than that, I thank everybody for a successful year. We have a lot of great things happening in our district, more things to come. So step by step, it's a long process. And I believe that Taylor also would like to speak. Oh, and Ms. Richter. So thank you, Ms. Richter.
So before we move on, we do have a walk-in resolution. It is 17P, and it reads, therefore be it resolved, the Fort Lee Board of Education approves the board's evaluation of the superintendent of schools, Robert L. Kravitz, EDD, MBA. That is 17P.
Thank you, Madam President. Just board members and members of the public, just in order to attempt to manage expectations. We see a lot of members of the public in attendance who were here at the last meeting, who we anticipate may exercise their right to make public comments during the allotted time. You have every right to do that. However, please note that the board cannot and will not be able to respond to any comments or questions you ask that may relate to a certain personnel matter, and I'll put parentheses S. The board cannot respond to personnel matters due to privacy of those individual employees who have rights pursuant to state and federal law, as well as to protect the obligation of the board members and the entity of the Board of Education. So again, you can say what you want within certain limits, but please be mindful the board cannot respond.
Are there any board members who have committee reports?
Hello. Yes, okay. Hi, I have a committee report for the Building and Grounds Committee. So we met on Monday, June 10th at 3:45 until 4:45. I was in attendance. My name is Tanya Byers-Kang, along with Mike Rubino, Doug Lopez, Lester Taylor, Dr. Kravitz, and Dina Masseri. And what we discussed was to go into a shared service agreement for the Little National Field with the town of Fort Lee. That's a long-range facilities plan, and Lester Taylor will be working with us to make sure that everything is taken care of. And we'll go through the process. The county first has to look at it, and the other thing we just discussed at, excuse me, at that meeting was the assessment for the HVAC for the IS school. Thank you.
So Friday, I had a personnel committee meeting. The committee consists of Amy Kotang, Doug Lopez, Kristen Ricker, myself, Dr. Kravitz, Ms. Baker, Ms. Viserys. We discussed personnel issues. It was a very productive, informative meeting, and we will be having another personnel committee meeting sometime mid-July.
Also, last week, the policy committee met. It reviewed just briefly the cooperation with law enforcement policy, 9320, and some related policies. Also, a member of the committee, which is comprised of me, Holly Morrell, Amy Kotang, and President Kristen Richter, requested that the committee discuss remote public participation and public participation at meetings. There was varying views expressed on changes to those policies. I think a majority of the committee was in favor of tightening them up, and there were a number of options discussed, and I believe the administration is looking at drafting some changes that will appear on a future agenda, and I'm sure there will be some robust discussion of the changes.
All right, so does anyone have, any board members have questions or comments on tonight's agenda or the topics?
Hi, yes, I have a question on 3P. There's one name on 3P that Lysandro Perez transferring from the Fort Lee High School to the Fort Lee LFC, the middle school. So Lysandro Perez is the high school custodian, the main worker there, and to transfer him out of that position, I'm wondering, is that a voluntary transfer?
Just, if I may, board members, you have questions about personnel items, they should be addressed in closed executive session. I don't know if the employee was raised, but even if they were raised, unless the employee authorized a discussion about their individual employment to be in public, it has to be in closed session.
Okay, thank you. I thought if their name was on here that you could ask about it.
It should be in closed session.
Okay.
And then also, just as a general proposition, transfers don't have to be voluntary. The superintendent has the prerogative to recommend to the board the assignment of a staff member to any position within their certification, whether it be a teaching staff member, administrator, or custodial employee.
Got it.
So I have a question on 29F. It is the resolution where at the end of the school year, we transfer money into our capital reserve. I understand we won't know the precise amount until the audit is concluded in October, but do we have some order of magnitude as to what we'll be transferring into our reserve account?
At this point, we don't even have the award yet for the extraordinary aid, and that's one of the revenues that we have to accrue for June 30th. I'm hoping by mid-July to have the number, because we haven't even closed out the month of June yet. So by mid-July, the July 15th, July 15th meeting, right? I should have an answer for you by then.
Okay, thank you.
Do any other board members have questions or comments on the agenda or any other topic? Okay, we have a motion to open the floor to the public.
Second.
Motion Rubino, second Kolbath, all in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, we will hear first from members of the public physically located in the cafeteria. Then we will take questions and comments from those participating remotely. Participants are limited to 3 minutes in which to make their statement. For remote public participants, please select the raise hand button. Mr. Ruggiero will recognize each community member in order that you raise your hand. Please then unmute your microphone, state your name and address for the record, and begin your comments. All comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Please just remember to state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, can you hear me? Yes. Good thing I'm short, that's where the mic is. Okay. Good evening, my name is Annabella, 1 Executive Drive, mom of a rising high school senior in the district and a proud band booster. Last month, myself and 3 other band booster officers spoke at this meeting to express our concerns and offer our support for the hiring of a high school band teacher whose role also serves as the band director of our beloved marching band program. Surprised and delighted to hear Dr. Kravitz's update that, if I heard correctly, there is a high school music teacher that did accept. Because, just want to make sure I heard correctly, because we were made aware that at this late stage in the game, there was no one hired, and nor were there any more candidates in the pipeline. So,
That's correct, there was someone who did accept today.
okay, wonderful. That's wonderful, and yes. Would you be able to just confirm when we can expect to see that on the next agenda?
July 15th, it will be on the agenda.
Wonderful, thank you so much.
Yep. We're very happy about that. I was told this morning at 9:01, so miraculously, administrator came to me and they said yes. I said, great, now that's off the checklist.
That's amazing news, thank you.
Hello, also short, so thank you. Kim Wasserman, 157 Kensington Drive, Fort Lee, did also speak on May 20th at the Board of Ed meeting. I'm back, and obviously we all thought we were coming to talk about something different, about the need for band director, and it's wonderful news that you hired somebody and they've accepted. The only other thing I just want to mention is at this time, we still don't have music, we still don't have drills, we still don't have an assistant band director. We are still short-staffed. Understanding that on July 15th, it's gonna be inserted into the agenda, which is fantastic, but I can't emphasize enough, we're ready to go, the band's ready, we have 90+ band members ready to start practicing. Anything that anyone here in this room and anyone on the phone can do to try to expedite the process and sort of getting approvals for us to fully staff up so we can be ready to roll by, whatever sooner than later, July would be fantastic.
I am meeting with Mr. Wells tomorrow morning, now that we have someone, and we'll come up with a game plan of how to make that happen. So even if we have to, we can't approve them legally until they're on a board agenda, but the intent is to start to put everything in motion, so, yes.
I guarantee any one of us in the room, band officers, we will meet with you, we are here to support, there is no limit that we will take to help the band, so anything we can do to help.
Appreciate it very much, thank you.
Hi, Chia Gabashakar, 1275 15th Street. I was here the last meeting, 2 weeks before, to speak about a concern. I'm very happy to hear the news. And then, like Kim said, still concerned about the time-wise. We are supposed to have the first practice in the 2nd week of July. And then we are supposed to have assistant director, other staff, tech staff, and then we, as a parents, we didn't do anything to support keep the program on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Fei Wen, 1415 Anderson Avenue, Fort Lee. Me and many other parents and students were here on May 22nd. I appreciate the board member and the administration listened to our concern, and we received a very happy news at this point. Behind me, there are a lot of high school students, parents, we all come for the same purpose. We appreciate that everyone speed up the process, and with the summer coming, many students already planned out their summer schedule, including the marching band practice. So at this point, I just want to express our gratitude to everyone here, everyone in the Board of Ed, administration, parents, and students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Shmuel Bergman, 1638 Old Palisade Road. I was also here at the last meeting to express my concern over a lesson given in Fort Lee High School by Mr. Wolowitz and Mr. Balagu. And what I'd really like to do this evening is to focus on the students. Education is about the students. And what I'd like to ask you, the Board of Education, to do is to think of the Jewish students that were in the room. Mr. Balagu, when Mr. Wolowitz and Mrs. Balagu gave their presentation, in which they essentially said it's okay to hate Jews if they're Zionists, that when Hamas goes and kills innocent Israeli civilians, it's not terrorism, it's just a form of resistance, and that when they did so on October 7th, it's sort of excusable because they had broken out of their confines, and it was simply another clash between Israelis and Palestinians rather than a pogrom inflicted upon the Israeli public by terrorists. And I'd ask you to think what a Jewish student would think in that room when they're told to hand in their cell phones and told that they can either leave the classroom or listen to this sort of rhetoric. And how does it look? How would it look if those students did indeed walk out of the classroom before the lesson? What impression would it make on their classmates? In what way does that single them out as the Zionists in the room? Now, if you would imagine, heaven forbid, that a similar lesson would be given defending the conduct of the Ku Klux Klan, saying that they're not some sort of racist organization, they're not as bad as you thought, and then if students of color were pressured to walk out of the room, will we let that slide? And of course we wouldn't, and nor should we. So why should we let a similar lesson about Hamas, which discriminates against Jewish students, slide without saying anything? But we haven't heard from the board of what their opinion was about this lesson. We haven't heard any statements, any condemnations, and we don't know what will happen to prevent this from happening again in the future, or whether there will be any significant consequences to the instructors responsible for this lesson. And I know it's not easy to make a decision in this circumstance, but the courageous decision is the decision you should make. And so our eyes are all on you. And we hope that you'll make the correct decision, the decision that will ensure that any student who walks into a Fort Lee classroom will not feel discriminated against because of their race or their religion, and that will ensure that they all receive the proper education that they should. I hope that you will take my words seriously, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Daniel, I live in Fort Lee, Met North. I just wanted to take a moment to address directly the two board members that decided to vote no on 11P at the last meeting. I feel as though there is a much needed reminder that you were voted in to ensure that the district avoid unnecessary lawsuits at the cost of our tax dollars, and to ensure that the district is able to retain the necessary staff to be a viable and enticing education option for families considering investing in Fort Lee. I am extremely critical of your continued willingness to lean into scandal and drama to the detriment of the district and its ability to hire talented and skilled educators in the future. Standing and applauding to an enticed and dysregulated crowd is inflammatory, unbecoming, and dangerous. The lack of leadership qualities with regards to de-escalation strategies are striking and are indicative of how little you are deserving of the leadership positions you take advantage of. And it becomes more and more apparent with each controversy in which you seemingly delight in being the loudest voice. Get it together.
I'm gonna have to start with stuff, I'm sorry. Good evening, my name is Genevieve Callahan. I reside at 100 Avenue E, and I live in Lodi, New Jersey. I am a current employee of the Fort Lee Public Schools. I was hired here in 2009. I was blessed to have been chosen by Rosemary Giacomelli. She brought me in. Since I was here, I cannot thank you all enough for the incredible, wonderful, enriching moments I have had with your students. Your children, my students. I can't wait to see Will. Sammy. Do I need to say her name? I took a medical leave of absence on February 9th of this year due to mental stress and anxiety. Since I have left, I have popped in to your meetings exactly 3 times. I lie, twice. The first video I saw was of a student suing the Fort Lee Public Schools for an event that happened in 7th grade. Heartbroken is what I was. The next set of videos that I actually popped in to see you all at was the policies with the whether or not parents can be informed about certain situations when it comes to communication between students and parents. On June 4th, on June 4th's meeting, I watched about as long as I could. I have worked so hard to create a climate in my classroom where the things that are going on behind me do not happen. We all must be ashamed.
Kanikov from Kavada Fort Lee. First of all, I'd like to commend the board members that have passionately expressed their dismay and their disgust for the 2 teachers that have allowed the festering of hate in the classrooms of Fort Lee, New Jersey high schools. I know that many people would like this episode to go away. It's much easier to have it disappear. We all want problems to disappear. But when we don't take the proper stand, we are responsible for the next ones that happen. So I know that your jobs here is to make things look smooth and peaceful and loving, because we do want a loving environment. However, standing up to hate, all types of hate, is the primary responsibility of every human being. I'm insulted, I'm hurt, that since this episode has been brought to light, there has been no condemnation whatsoever from the Board of Directors of Education, or from principal, vice principal. I don't know who fully is responsible for this tragedy, who approved the subject to be discussed, but it's irrelevant. They'll be taken care of either by you or by the Almighty God. But you as individual human beings, people that were trusted to protect our children should, for the record, for the history, should at least know that their leaders condemned hatred in the classroom. And we've been waiting to hear from the Board of Education, from anyone who's in a position of power, superintendent, some letter that says hate in our classrooms will not be tolerated. I've not seen that from the mayor and council. I haven't heard it from anyone here. It's not enough to make these teachers go away. It's a position to take as the leaders of our education. We'll be waiting and watching. Thank you.
Bravo! Mr. Ruggiero?
Yes, Keith Gosselin, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Keith Gosselin.
Hi, everybody. Keith Goslin, 2185 Lemoyne Avenue, Fort Lee. I am here, good evening, everybody, just to kind of announce that our elections are ending this week for the Special Education Parents Advisory Group, and to alert parents of students with 504 plans that there was a little bit of a glitch, but you were sent the election ballot last week, and that's why we extended the voting till this Thursday. So parents who have children or students with the IEPs or 504 plans, please do check your messenger or your emails and vote. And you can also reach out to me directly if you have any trouble, as some people have been doing. So thank you all very much. Have a good night.
Margarita Vigodner, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Margarita Vigodner. I live at 5 Victoria Place. So I was preparing to say, and Mayor Konnikov actually said exactly what I wanted to say. No wonder he is my rabbi. But couple things I want to say. First of all, regarding the last meeting, I believe every person has to have 3 minutes without interruptions. I agree on that. But at the same time, open support to Hamas, which is a terrorist organization, as declared by United States, should not be allowed. There should be no allowed. I don't understand why those calls to openly supporting Hamas and bashing United States were allowed last time. Second, it was a little strange situation. Board of the members voted by the end to allow for the teacher to resign instead of firing her. So 2 members expressed their views. Nobody else, when they voted, said anything. And later, when there was some kind of, post on Facebook, some members, or their friends said they could not comment because investigation is still in progress. So I don't understand why they were forced to vote if the investigation was still in progress. They had to explain their vote. They had to have a right to explain their vote. And yes, the third thing, I totally agree with Mayor Konnikov. We have not heard from the from the principals of the school, from the board, from the superintendent, from the town, anything. There are several weeks we have not heard that, our school district condemns Hamas propaganda in our school. We are getting emails when someone smoked in the bathroom. We are getting emails when someone used an F word. We heard nothing, not from the town, not from the mayor. Actually, last time there was zero representation by the mayor or Fort Lee on the board meeting. When there was a sex education meeting, there was a representation. We haven't heard from the superintendent. We haven't heard from the board, except Paula wanted to say how close, she takes it, and that she read all the email, and it's very boring. And her and Casey said that, that they could not vote for letting the teacher just going. So I don't understand it was correct process. Maybe the lawyer or the superintendent can explain why they had to vote, but they could not comment, because if the investigation is still in process, why there was a vote? And also, if superintendent can also answer why we hadn't have anything, and you heard Jewish community haven't heard anything. Let's now imagine African American community, the same hate thing happened. Why haven't we heard anything from them? I want to hear from Mr. Kravitz. Thank you.
Andrew, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Andrew?
Hi, Andrew Goodman, 326 Bridge Plaza North, Fort Lee, New Jersey. I have a couple questions. I see on tonight's resolution, there is the resignation of Dana Davis, Director of Special Services. So I have a couple questions. Number one, will somebody be appointed interim acting in that position? Also, number two is, can a member, executive board member actually of CPAC be on the committee, the hiring committee, or one of the panels for that interview process? Also, last month on the Board of Ed agenda, the Board of Ed approved a bunch of substitute teachers. Are any of those substitute teachers certified in special education? And also, what is the plan if a teacher in special education should go out sick for multiple weeks? If there's nobody certified. Thank you.
So on the agenda is Ms. Davis, who did resign. We have an advertisement in place, and we already have candidates, and we will be starting the interview process. Any individual who resigns from a post has to give us a certain amount of time, which allows us the ability to replace them. So we should make the deadline by the beginning of the year, if not sooner. As far as substitutes, I do not know the answer to that question of which substitutes have licenses to teach. Sometimes we have had substitutes who don't want to teach, just want to be substitutes. And as far as the plan when a teacher is absent, if it is a long-term replacement, they go under a board agenda. They're paid accordingly as opposed to a daily rate for substitutes that are replacements on a 1 day per diem rate. And as far as CPAC, there's a board policy regarding hiring any director or above. There are Board of Education members who would sit as advisors on the hiring committee. They're not allowed to speak, but they can observe as we go through that process. For anyone who is an administrator, a supervisor or above.
Faten Hassan, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hi, good evening. I mentioned something that we need the Department Board of Education, but
I think you're having some audio problems. Can you possibly get closer?
hi, can you hear me? Sorry.
That's better.
Let me start by saying it's a shame that some of the audience needed to mention the circus that happened on June 4th, where the audience overtook the stage. I mean, they got their feelings out. Congratulations. But I do want to say to the board members that you have the patience of saints. I applaud each and every one of you for tolerating the whole entire thing. I would like to move on to more important things in life, importantly. I want to talk about the teachers and the instruction for my child. Like he's in certain classes, and I'm requesting that the teachers be more informed or maybe have science of reading certificates, or Gillingham based instruction. I think that is what is really needed. And that's it. That's all I had to ask for today. Thank you so much.
Kesha, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, do you hear me?
Yes.
Do you hear and see me? Okay, thank you very much for allowing me to speak. My name is Taya and I am at 484 Main Street. Last time I was cut off, I demanded an email with answer why my speech was cut off. I would like to know because I would like to know the rules and the regulations so I don't repeat myself running the same spiral again. Now tonight I want to enforce for the Fort Lee board to keep maintaining 0 comments on what has happened to that classroom with high school teachers until the investigations take place and they are completely ended and sealed. And if there is any court rulings, please maintain 0 comments until the court rules. As far as for the Hamas, I am also a Muslim, but Hamas is a terrorist organization. And not because he, she, or someone said so, but because it is so. And a lot of Muslims are not agreeing with protecting Hamas. We condemn their actions. They are a terrorist organization. They are going against the innocent people. I don't want my daughter or anyone to hate someone just because they're Jew. Absolutely not. Would hate someone if they were a pervert or they were a thief, but not because they're Jew. As far as for the Zionism, that's also a terrorist elite that has ruined 3/4 of our planet and has infiltrated Hamas and operates Hamas. Out of this, I would like to have some other comments about our schools. If you can add flow water filter stations in every corner in our schools. Also, I had an email that the kids had a party and they had some fried food. As a healthcare professional, I worry because fried foods causes obesity and cancer. If you can substitute that from with our other healthy alternatives, I would appreciate. And in the future, I strongly suggest that teachers walk around with body-worn cameras and they go and have their speeches and their activities in other areas that are cameras so that we won't have any incidents. I have asked for that to happen in healthcare too, and everywhere where people work in public services. Also, the parents must have access to those cameras. And for the board members, they should keep open line of communications with people at all times. And also, the last but not least, I have asked for adjustable chairs and adjustable desks for our students and children in schools, and I thank you very much. And I yield my time to the other parents.
Howard Lipoff, you've been promoted to panelist. Please unmute your microphone and feel free to share your video. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes. Howard Lipoff.
Okay, one moment. I'm trying to start my video. It's not starting. There I am. Thank you very much. I'm Howard Lipoff. I'm the treasurer of the Fort Lee Education Association. I teach at the Lewis F. Cole Intermediate School. I guess I don't teach now, the school year is over, but normally I teach there. I live at 161 Main Street in Little Falls. Just, I'll try and be very brief. Looking at the agenda, when I saw it over the weekend, I was very saddened to see Diana Davis leaving. Most FLEE members, or all FLEE members I've talked to over the years, I don't think there's been an exception, have had a good relationship, a very good relationship with Diana Davis. We will miss her. I also saw Dina Masseri on the list of those leaving. I think the members of FLEE, we all wish her the best in her future endeavors. But perhaps the most saddened I was to see Mrs. Ben-Sali leaving the district. She's one of our aides who worked very closely with the special ed students at the intermediate school. I know firsthand she did an excellent job. Our aides are some of the people who work closest with the special ed students. I think this is a big problem in our district in getting quality people in and keeping them staying.
You froze on us,
She was in
Howard.
our district for 5 years, better pay.
I think you have a poor connection, Howard.
And I freeze here. Did you hear what I said, or I
No,
think my,
we missed the last 30 seconds.
okay, let me just say, Mrs. Ben Sally was a wonderful aide, and I better benefit. Better benefits, better pay, and I'm sorry something's wrong with my internet. Should I repeat my last few words? I know I was talking about the pay. They need better pay if we're going, and better benefits if we're.
All right, Howard, thank you. I think we got your message.
There are no more raised hands.
All right, may I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
Motion.
Motion Rubino, second Morel, all in favor? Any opposed or abstentions? Okay, moving on to resolutions. I have a motion to approve items 1B through 2B.
Motion.
Second. Motion Morel, second Colback, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers Kane.
Yes.
Mrs. Colback.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Mrs. Cottang.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve item 1 CUR through 2 CUR?
Motion. Second.
Motion Morel, second Coatang, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers Kane.
Yes.
Mrs. Colback.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Mrs. Cottang.
Yes.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve items 1F through 29F?
Motion.
Second.
Motion Morel, second Rubino, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers Kane.
Yes.
Ms. Colback.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
No on 21F.
And yes to the rest.
And then anything else, my bad.
Excuse me?
And that's yes on everything.
Okay. Mrs. Cottang.
Yes, on all, on 19F, there's no attachment to those three, so I would abstain on 19F.
Ms. Morel.
Yes.
Mr. Rubino.
Yes.
Mrs. Richter.
Yes. May I have a motion to approve items 1P through 10P, 11P as amended by Dr. Kravitz. 12P through 16P and walk-in item 17P.
Motion.
Second.
Motion Morel, second Coatang, roll call please.
Mrs. Byers Kane.
Yes, except for on 3P, I vote no to, should I say the name or
Which one are you voting on?
one name? I vote no to one name.
One name of.
It's listed, so.
Yes, Lissandro Perez.
Okay, everything else okay?
Yes, yes.
Ms. Colback.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes to all with a special thanks to Dana.
Mrs. Cottang.
Yes to all, special thanks to Dina, very, very special thanks to you. And also, to Mr. Ish, who's taking, a leave of absence, thank you for your work.
Ms. Morel.
Yes to all. On 3P, one name I'm voting no on, that's for Jose Yang.
Yes.
Janice, okay.
And we're gonna miss you, Dana.
Mr. Rubino?
Yes, with the exception of Perez on 3D.
Okay. And then Mrs. Richter?
Yes. Okay, is there any old business? New business?
Just wanted to congratulate us.
You're stuck with us.
Thank you all.
Stuck with us. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion Morales, second Rubino, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, thank you.